One thing I've seen the other foreigners complain about is they say no matter how they try to be Korean, and no matter how many years they have spent here trying to be Korean,
Right.
they are still viewed as foreigners.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
and like in America and some other countries, some other developed countries, I can say I am American.
Right.
Nobody can question that.
Right.
I can say I am British. Nobody can question that. Yeah. But imagine if I say that I'm Korean to you. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have been much less possible in 1997. That would have been like what are you talking about, you crazy person? Now I think a Korean person might even say, okay, like you're a naturalized citizen, or is your grandfather Korean? So I think there's a little bit more openness now.
Than then. Okay.
Yeah, I think in the end, we're visible minorities in this country. But I've never felt like I've been treated like a minority. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes. I think sometimes there are things that happen where I'm like, okay, we were the easy punching bag. Sometimes with the Korean law about, they call it the 70-30 law. It pertains to education.
Yes.
So they say at a foreign school, if you're an actual legitimate foreign school with a license from the ministry saying, yes, this is a foreign school, sole foreign school, the oldest one, for example, they have a law that says only 30% of those people that go to that school can be Korean. 70% have to be foreign. But foreign is a very loose term. Like, one of your parents has a passport from another country. That's considered foreign. You have a passport, you're foreign. Foreign is a kind of a loose phrase, but that's the law that they made. And that law was made out of a political, I don't want to say crisis. It wasn't a crisis, but it was a populist political movement. And the idea that the politicians who were leading that charge had was they were whipping up the people in the lower economic class, in the middle class, because they were saying rich people are putting their kids in these schools.
Yes.
You can't afford that. That's not fair. And out of that, some people got an office, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we have to make a rule. Now we ran on this idea. So they came up with this rule. And even from the opening day of that rule, Seoul Foreign School, which is probably the most legitimate, like I said, it's over 90 years it's been in Korea. It's very much a part of Seoul. It's, you ask a taxi driver, Seoul Foreign School, that's one place they do know.
Yes.
That even Seoul Foreign Schools, like by the definition you just gave, we can't even be open. Like we won't be able to make that work. And so that's when it kind of, because initially it was just like 70-30. You're either, 30% Korean can be in the school and 70% have to be foreign. And foreigner meant like, you're foreign.
Yes.
Then they started to kind of play with the language of the law and say, okay, wait, we meant passport holder. We meant you live abroad a long time. Okay, maybe you're foreign now. Like they started to manipulate what the rule was because they realized like, oh, we're going to kill all the international schools this way. And that wasn't the intention. The intention was to give people in the middle class and the lower class the feeling that things are fair. Because they do have that egalitarian thing. That's another Confucian thing. Like, everybody's equal. But then they're not. And that's the part that's so kind of interesting. Because, like, on one hand, they'll tell you, like, everybody's equal. But then, like I said, they kind of look down like, that guy's a farmer.
Yeah.
If everybody's equal, what's wrong with farming? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like everybody's equal, yet they're not. What was the phrase from Animal Farm? It was like, so that's kind of an interesting little dichotomy they have. But I think like over time,
it
feels like to me, Koreans have become more understanding of those kind of things. It feels like to me, at least as an outsider, especially considering like where things were in 97, where it was like, absolutely, there's no way. Like, that's definitely not.
That's quite a long time, like 27 years ago, right?
Yeah. And it's been a while. I know I'm old, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, I think that's an amazing amount of change in a short period of time.
Yeah.
It kind of was like, for me, seeing those things in Korea is very similar to me. I was very surprised and happy when the American Supreme Court came out and said homosexual people have a right to be married. That's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. It's the very first thing. Like everybody has that right.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised because I really thought we were maybe a generation away still before that would be something that was okay. And then yet suddenly it was like, nope, it's happening right now.
No.
So sometimes I think culturally things just
Things are moving very fast.
yeah, they move quicker than you plan on it. And maybe that's what's happening in Korea because it's such a dynamic culture and so many things are happening.